I wish I could say that, and in fact, I'll be right to say that. However, if you look at this from the standpoint of the Ghanaian, the nation Ghana, which continues to lose millions of cedis, which could have gone into useful ventures, like the construction of hospitals, schools, and other useful developmental projects for the benefit of the people. Losing all these monies to corruption, then you will say, wait a minute, let me not claim vindication, but let us have a discussion about how we can change direction, how we can change the approach which the current administration is using for the fight against corruption, and rescue this country, redeem the soul of this country from the clutches of the epidemic, levels of corruption we have seen in recent time. Like you rightly stated a while ago, corruption has become, the main symptom of the Kufuor Bawumia government. The figures you just read are very clear. Our performance on the Corruption Perception Index of Transparency International in the last 7 years has been abysmal. It's been very terrible. But something that is not surprising. And it is not surprising because you reap what you sow. And we are reaping the seeds we have sown relative to the fight against corruption. This is what you get when the government of the day decides to pay lip service to the fight against corruption. The perception of corruption in Ghana today is at an all-time high because the government has decided to make corruption an attractive and thriving venture. It's become a free-for-all venture for government appointees, party functionaries of the ruling, New Patriotic Party. And it involves higher-ups, including the president, the vice president, ministers of state, and so on. Never in the history of this country have we seen such a deliberate promotion of corruption like we have seen in the last 7 years. And that is why we are performing poorly on the CPI. That is why our worst score in the last decade or so has been the score of 40 this government achieved in the year 2017, and the score of 41 they achieved in 2018, which is the second, lowest score we have had in the last decade. So clearly, we know the cause. We know the cause. You see, since this government took office, there's been countless cases of corruption. Countless cases of naked corruption and thievery. The evidence is there. The government knows. Yet in all cases, the perpetrators are walking free. They've all gone unpunished. There's been no prosecutions, no deterrence whatsoever. From the Bossgate scandals, some of you recall, we discussed this issue here, where 5 million liters of contaminated fuel was sold to unlicensed businesses at a cheap price, leading to a huge financial loss to the state. Without recourse to the Public Procurement Act, to the contracts for sales scandal, which was reviewed by your good friend Manasseh Azuri, where the head of the PPA at the time was captured on tape illegally selling government contracts. He
was dealt with and is currently being prosecuted as well.
Well, by the special prosecutor. You understand? By the special prosecutor. But if you look at the fact that Shraj indicted him, he went all the way to the Court of Appeal to challenge that first, decision of Shraj and lost.
He was sacked by the president. You are trying to go to another issue.
I'm going to another issue. You understand? You look at the issue of the Galamsey fraud scandal involving Charles Misuse. The same thing. Even before the special prosecutor at the time, Martin Amidu, could conclude his investigations into the matter, the CID, who had no locus investigating the matter because they were not properly seized with the matter, cleared Charles Misuse, a presidential staffer, who had been caught on tape collecting bribes to promote illegal mining. They're missing excavators as we speak. Frimpong Boateng, the then Minister for Environment, actually filed a police complaint against the auctioneer for, Galamstop, one Equal with CNPP regional vice chair for the central region, as the one responsible for the missing excavators. Till date, we don't know what the police has done about the case, and he's still walking free. The Sputnik V vaccine scandal is yet another matter. In fact, for that matter, Parliament actually investigated it and found the Ministry of Health, Ajimemenu, liable for breach of the Public Procurement Act. Yet nothing has been done about it. And the president and the vice are unable to crack the whip because they themselves are involved. You have a president who gives executive approval for that Mary Innovation deal, which was padded by over $800 million. You have a vice president, Alhaji Bawumia, who decides in the PDS case to change the requirement of a bank guarantee into an insurance guarantee, change it from a condition precedent to a condition subsequent, and allows a group of people, according to, the words of Peter Miwu, the then Minister of Energy, to defraud us, and to date, nobody has been punished.
You fix individual liability to the vice president in a matter where it's a committee that he was with. Is that not
so? But he chaired it. According to the FTI report, he chaired it. And he had no business changing what the legislature, Parliament in its wisdom had done. That to prove the financial capacity of PDS, to demonstrate their financial capacity to be able to manage an important national asset, 20 billion Ghana cedis asset, that is ECG, they needed to show a bank guarantee.
But if the consortium did wrong, it was not the vice president. And it's a consortium that is now facing the troubles that happened with PDS.
No, but it was a vice president that aided the consortium to defraud us, because it was the vice president who chaired the meeting that changed the requirement of a bank guarantee into an insurance guarantee without recourse to Parliament, and change it again from a condition precedent to a condition subsequent. That is the root cause of that scandal, which according to the IE,
change of the condition did not remove the responsibility of the consortium to meet what was required to be able to undertake that.
But the point is that, Francis, Samson, if it had not been changed, a bank guarantee and an insurance guarantee are not the same. The bank guarantee is more liquid, more reliable than the insurance guarantee.
So I see you have
if it had not been changed. Don't stay here. Let me go. The point is that, according to the FTI reports, if Bawumia, that beating which was chaired by Bawumia, had not changed the requirement of a bank guarantee into an insurance guarantee, change it from a condition precedent to a condition subsequent, what happened would not have happened. And bear in mind that according to the Institute of Economic Affairs, Ghana lost $2 billion as a result of that scandal alone, the biggest in the history of this country. Then you look at the institutionalization.
The biggest issue now is that we don't know what the people who led the PDS, what government has recovered from them. That's the most important.
The electricity bills we pay to them.
Exactly.
To the tune of $1.5 billion. They failed to refund that money. Till now. You understand? Now you look at certain glaring acts of corruption that are not mere allegations, but that are the findings of a constitutional authority, like the Auditor General. Here I'm talking about the COVID-19 expenditure audit, which was done by the Auditor General. And look at the findings, damning findings. We pay 1.4 billion cedis to a company, Modern Security Printers, to conduct education for secondary school children on COVID-19 protocols. The money is paid in full, and the job is not done. And the president and the vice are sitting down. The law enforcement agencies are sitting down. The company is known. Nothing is being done. We pay $250,000 for medical equipment. The equipment are received at the central medical stores, dispatched to specific health facilities, and according to the Auditor General, they get diverted. And no hairs are rolling, nobody is standing prosecution for this. We pay 37.6 million Ghana cedis for free water, with no water bills to show for. And you have a sitting, vice chair of the ruling party in the northern region, their former parliamentary candidate for Sagnerigu, One Felicia Tete, come out boldly to say that COVID-19 funds, public funds meant for saving lives, were dished out to us like granite. I got 200,000 by virtue of the fact that I was parliamentary candidate and vice chair of the MPP in the northern region. I know DCs who got 30,000, regional executives of the MPP who got 50,000 each, constituency executives 10,000 each.
They were helping to fight COVID-19.
What? Just mind-boggling. And then till date, This woman has not been invited by any of the law enforcement agencies. COVID money. You see, so it is, and what is even sad in all this, Samson, and I know you have been a constant advocate on these issues. It's been the saddest thing for me in all this is how a man who rode on the back of an anti-corruption campaign and a promise to protect the public purse has turned around to use the power we have given him, the power we have entrusted him, to fight corruption fighters instead of fighting corruption. Look at how a certain auditor general who was fighting corruption, Yawo Dumelevo, was hounded out of office. Today we know, according to the Supreme Court, that his removal was unconstitutional. Look at how Martin Amidu was compelled to resign on the back of the Ejapa scandal. At some point he said his life was under threat. Look at what they did to Manasseh Azuri, your own client. Look at what they did to Edward Adeti, who exposed a certain regional minister engaging in galamsey. You see, so if you do these things in the full glare of the public, the perception of corruption will be high. You will perform poorly on the CPI. Investors will look at it and say that, no, this is not the destination for investments. It affects the image of the country. It affects the nation in terms of we losing precious resources which could have gone into productive ventures for the benefit of the people. As I'm saying, another factor that accounts for this poor performance of this corrupt Akufo-Addo government on the CPI is the culture of waste. The culture of waste and profligacy we have seen in the last 7 years. I mean, these guys go for one cabinet retreat in 2021 and spend 4.8 million cedis. That is some 48 billion old Ghana cedis. One cabinet retreat. They spent 10.4 million cedis on the 2021 Independence Day celebration at Cape Coast. This is their own figures submitted by the Office of Government Machinery through the Office of the Chief of Staff to Parliament in 2022. They spent 50 million cedis on car, batteries, and ties within 9 months. I mean, outrageous expenditures without any regard for the national interest. And so for me, we need a drastic change in the nation's approach to the fight against corruption. Like you rightly said a while ago, corruption is the biggest bane of this country. It is the reason why we can't pay our debts. It is the reason why the economy is almost collapsing now. It is the reason why we don't have money to fund the renal unit at Kolebu, which led to a shutdown for months, leading to 14 avoidable deaths. It is the reason why we could not get money to buy vaccines for children, and Nigeria had to loan us vaccines for our own children. It is a reason for the problems we are going through, because a few selfish, greedy politicians entrusted with the mandate of the people have decided to enrich themselves at the expense of the state. What we need to do is to change direction. The only way you can change direction is to change the leaders. Like Yawo Dumelevo said, this is a leadership problem. The fish gets rotten starting from the head, from the president to the vice. And that is why some of us have said that a vote for Bawumia is a third-term vote for Akufo-Addo and his cabal of family and friends. Because he can't crack the whip, he cannot prosecute them when he himself has been an active part and an accomplice in this corrupt scheme. And so I think, and I submit forcefully, that the only way we can get justice, we can see prosecutions, we can see punishment being meted out to corrupt officials, is when on 7 December we make a change and bring in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, who has promised, for example, that I will not recognize the SML contract. You give a contract to a company which is an offshoot, and I'll land here. I know my time is up. You give a contract. It's the latest one. I need to touch on it, Samson. You give a contract to a company which is an offshoot of a timber company, has no prior experience in auditing or revenue assurance. You give them the contract based on sole sourcing, a company with no prior experience, to do what is already being done by the state regulator of the downstream petroleum sector, NPA. Mustafa Hamid says, we're already doing this. We don't see the use of the work of this company. And you pay them a staggering 24 million cedis every month. How wicked can you be? And so we need a change. The only way these people can pay for their sins. The only way we can see prosecutions, we can see punishment, we can see deterrence to lower the perception of corruption in the country is when His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, inshallah, assume the reins of government come 7 January 2025.
Banka.